And welcome back to Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. You can listen to us all over the place at neosportsinsiders.com, iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic. We're everywhere. And ladies and gentlemen, Z's Cream and Beans Milkshake.
Ed, you all right, buddy?
Oh, man.
Ed is
are
so
amazing.
disturbed.
That song actually made Ed run from the yard.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
my milkshake has a tendency to do that, too.
But it made Sean dance a little here at the table.
Hey, man.
I see those milkshakes are sitting well. By the way, they're
For now.
Yeah.
For now, yeah. Yeah.
For now.
Well, all 8 of my chins are really enjoying those milkshakes that I had.
That's all that matters.
Not regretting those in the least, guys, by the way.
That's all that matters. But welcome back to Z's Cream and Bean. We're Sports on Tap.
Speaking of the yard.
Yeah. Talk about the Look at this guy. You guys are.
our segue game is on fire.
I got to say something here. I got to give Justin Verlander some credit on for his Twitter post this morning, saying that if at first you don't succeed, he said try 11 times.
Right.
So
now that's pretty good.
Again, this is the guy that,
Kate Upton.
he goes home and gets consoled by Kate Upton. So it's not like it's all bad news for Mr. Verlander.
Well, no, he's a $100 million man with
That's
Kate
true.
Upton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are worse things in the world.
Jesus.
Oh, that's not.
You
not
think an 11-game slide against the Indians is even in his mind when he goes home? Nope.
Yeah.
Now Brad Ausmus, the manager, probably.
Well, he's not with Kate Upton.
Granted, very, very good point.
Yeah,
very good point.
Miss Osmus may very well be a knockout. We're not sure.
Yeah. That's something to look up, Sean. There you go. You got your computer in front of you there?
I can't look up the manager's wife. That's not good for the club. No one likes that.
Well, I mean.
Have you looked up Terry Francona's wife?
Yeah.
Really?
It's his red moped that he rides into work because I don't think he
cool.
has a wife.
Frank Cohen is much older than that. A little bit. He's older than Osmus. Osmus
way
was just
older.
playing like 5
Yeah,
years ago, wasn't he?
No, way
Yeah.
older. Yeah.
So
That's
I
one of
got-
the knocks against him in Detroit is that he wasn't ready for a big league job.
I
I
heard they want Jim Leland back.
They wanted Jim Leland back. The minute they
He's now
fired him.
90 years old and ready to manage.
Still
again.
smokes 3 packs a day. He doesn't give a crap what you think about it.
It's pretty awesome.
Let's talk baseball, boys.
That's right.
I mean,
Hey,
at this point in time, I gotta take my comeuppance.
here, you know what? Let's say a positive comment about the Tigers. They beat the Indians today, so now they're 1-11 against the Tribe this year, which I have to talk about because the Indians have not had good luck against the Tigers probably the last few years. So
3 years, yeah.
the Indians playing some good baseball. They're 51-33 this year. And in first place by 6.5 games now.
Yeah.
So playing good baseball. They had a bump in the road today, a bump in the road in Toronto, but those guys are playing hard every single game. And that 19-inning game in which they won and broke a franchise record for the Indians of 14 wins in a row.
Didn't they
was
lost
impressive.
the next day, right?
Yeah, the next day.
They lost the next 2 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, you're basically if your catcher's going to be pitching 2 innings, you pretty much have.
That's phenomenal.
Listen, guys, we're probably not going to walk away with this as a win. I know the other team had to play the same amount of innings, but it's easier maybe to do that at home than it is to do that on the road because you're already not comfortable sleeping in a different bed or whatever. But
I mean,
that's off.
I give the Indians credit though. I mean, to win all those games in a row, play 19-inning game. I mean, they had Saturday and Sunday games in Toronto. Then they come back Monday and play a home game against Detroit and continued some dominance, the next few games. That was pretty impressive. And this team overall, you look from top to bottom. We talk about, the additions of Rajai Davis and some of the other players that they signed, the veterans that we didn't know how they would play. Uribe, his batting average hasn't been that impressive, but they've been pretty good with this Indians team in the clubhouse. And talk about some of the good at-bats they've had so far this year, offensively.
Well, I mean, they've obviously been a lot more consistent than they have been in years past. You have a lot of guys that are playing. I think they have a lot of guys that are playing above their, are out kicking their coverage right now, for lack of a better term. But you're obviously going to take that any day of the week. I think one of the biggest surprises is Jose Ramirez. He's moving around the field. He doesn't have a set position, but Francona finds a way to get him in the lineup every day, and you have to. He's been hot all year. Tyler Naquin, another pleasant surprise. You didn't see too much power from him in the minors. He comes up to the big leagues. He's already got 7 home runs, which is something that no one really foresaw. But that's another opportunity where there's a spot open in center field, and he took it. Thanks to Almonte being suspended for 80 games, and we're doing all this without Michael Brantley. He's your best player on the offensive end. Yeah. You're most consistent, you're most clutch, and the Indians have been able to keep their head above water and actually maintain a pretty good pace.
Yep.
Without Brantley there. And Francisco Lindor, you can't say enough about him. He's been really steady at the top of the lineup, and the power that you're getting from Napoli and Carlos Santana is amazing, because I think right now at this point they both have hit more home runs, or as many home runs this year already than they have last year.
Yeah.
So whether that can continue or not, that's going to be the big story. That's going to be the big story. Because I think the pitching is going to be pretty consistent. They're obviously going to have a one-off here and there, like the game yesterday and the game against Toronto on Sunday, where they just got completely blown out. That's going to happen. That's baseball.
That's 162 games right there.
Yeah.
You can only. I mean, look. I think only one team has gone. I mean, look, the Oakland A's won those 20 games back in 03 or
02.
02. I mean, that was a rarefied air they were in at one point, and everything went their way. And not to take nothing away, I'm a Tigers fan, but you got to like where the Indians are at, because they're playing good baseball. They're doing it in such a way without like I've always said, they need a power bat. I think they still need to go out and get a bat. I think they need a bat in the outfield that they can consistently rely on. But again, I was saying you need somebody. There's no one you fear in that lineup. Well, now they've kind of turned the tables on pitchers, because they're getting solid contact on the ball. They're putting the ball in play. They're legging out, doubles. They're trying to leg out doubles.
They're taking the extra base,
right,
and they're the best team at taking the extra base. Whether that's going from first to third on a single, scoring from second, stealing bases.
They're aggressive, and that's fantastic. And look, your pitching by far is probably at the top of the major leagues right now. Nobody wants to face your 1 through 4, and I could even say that, the biggest surprise to me, and I imagine you Indians fan love this, is the fact that Trevor Bauer has somehow found a way to become a consistent starter coming back. I think that time in the bullpen helped him. Mm-hmm. And now you're looking at a situation where you have Salazar, Kluber, Tomlin, Bauer, and who's the other one? Carrasco, sorry. Again, I don't follow him. That's 5 solid pitchers that you could conceivably take.
Salazar?
Yes.
Yeah, I said Salazar.
Okay.
I said Salazar
Kluber,
first.
Bauer.
Yeah, I said Salazar first.
Okay.
I think Kluber, honestly, has not performed as well as the other 4.
Right.
I mean, but a lot of that could be contributed to he's the quote-unquote ace. So whenever he's pitching, he probably gets the best effort out of most guys, but he also doesn't get the best of run support. And I saw that a lot, just translating that to a Justin Verlander, where he would pitch great games, but he was also probably going up against another ace who was having a good game, or having a pitcher who's jacked up because he's going against the other ace. I mean, that happens in baseball, but you got to love, your 1 through 4. And the good thing about Tomlin, and if let's say you wanted to trim that down in a playoff scenario, I was talking to somebody about this today, you could conceivably put Bauer and Tomlin into a bullpen position if you had to as a long reliever. And in a playoff, that helps, because that puts a lot of confidence. Let's say one of your starters can't go deep into a game. You can maybe pull out a long reliever type game out of those two, because they've done both. Mm-hmm. Now, as an outside fan, I tell you right now, the trade deadline's coming up. You need to look at getting a bat, maybe an outfield bat, and maybe another relief pitcher, because your bullpen, while solid, can be shaky at times, and it happens when you guys are in those close games, when that reliever goes maybe 6th or 7th inning. I'm sorry, your starter goes to that 7th inning, and you don't really have. I mean, I don't think Francona has quite the confidence in that bullpen that you'd like him to have. You know what I mean? I mean, not every team's perfect, and there's a weakness, but that's a pretty big weakness if you're sitting on a 1-run lead going into the 7th or 8th inning, and you're in a tight game. That relief pitching could conceivably be a liability.
And I think that's been the difference with this Indians team is consistent pitching all around. I mean, before the season, I admit, I was ready to say trade Danny Salazar or Trevor Bauer and get some pieces here, whether it's bullpen help
Todd Frazier.
Or, a guy like that can hit, because those guys just were not consistent enough, and they've been in the league, a few years now where you think these guys aren't going to be consistent. They're just going to maybe not figure it out. And finally this year, I mean, you look up and down, they're figuring it out. The pitching has been solid, holding teams, and our offense, though, has put up some runs. They haven't had to put up a ton, but Corey Kluber, not the best of starts every game. He's still a solid pitcher, but he struggled a little bit in a few games. And, one thing I would say is I think right now, if I were the Indians, I would definitely look for a left-hander in that bullpen. I think that would almost be number one because you still have Michael Brantley. And, Almonte's not a bad player. He had a lot of games off, so he still has to come around and get in that baseball shape. But when you look at the bullpen, I mean, you think maybe T.J. House, they brought him up. Maybe he could be that left-hander that could be a reliever.
They brought Clevenger up, too.
Yeah.
I got to ask a question to Indians fans. Given the way the Indians are performing, are you that open to seeing Michael Brantley push to come back? Like, honestly.
No, absolutely not.
Like, if you're Frank Cohen and wouldn't you go to him and say, look, I'd rather have you later in the season than you push to come back to play in July? I know if he's going to come back this year, I know he has to come back eventually and get those starts.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matty Buckeye has entered the building.
He's working. But I look at that and I'm thinking, it's great that he's trying to come back, but I just don't. If I'm Frank Cohen, I'm like, look, we got a good thing going. I'd rather have your power and your abilities as we make a playoff push than right after the All-Star break. You see what I'm saying? Like, maybe if they were under 500 and they were trying to keep in contention, but they got a pretty decent lead in the AL Central.
You're not wrong, and no, I think I can speak for most Indians fans where I agree. There's no reason to rush him back.
No way.
I mean, we're in a good spot, and the fact of the matter is he's tried to come back twice already this year and it hasn't worked out well.
Right, yeah.
So really just for his own health, he needs to take the time he needs to take, and if it's at the expense of the team, that's what needs to happen. But right now, the Indians don't need him. And you hate to see, you think it's silly to say, oh, yeah, we don't need a 300 hitter that, hits well in the clutch. Oh, we obviously need him. We obviously need him, but as a team.
But that's him fully healthy and getting basically in baseball shape and getting in that rhythm. I mean,
no, you're
Michael
right.
Brantley, the first day back, is not – I mean, if he goes 1 for 4, I'd be shocked. Just because it takes a while for guys like that to get into a hitting rhythm. I don't care how many minor league starts you have. There's a difference between major league pitching and minor league pitching. And if Michael Brantley comes, it's going to take him probably, 3-4 weeks at major league level to just get it back into a rhythm. I mean, who knows? But I'm saying, the average player coming back from an injury like that is going to be a little bit apprehensive to push on, especially after 2 failed attempts.
Yeah.
I look at Indians fans, and all I see on the Cleveland sites is Michael Brantley's excited to come back, and I'm just like, why, dude? You're take the time. You're not under for the first time in 5 years. The Indians are not 7 games under 500 going in the All-Star break. You're 6 games up. You've just put the Tigers to bed for the 11th time, barring one win. You beat the Royals. You beat the White Sox. You've established dominance over the Twins, which I don't.
Actually, no, they haven't.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying the Twins have taken
the division, yes,
taken care of their end of the bargain. You'll concede some wins to the Twins if they're getting smoked by the rest of the division.
Well, I look at it this way when it comes to Brantley. Yeah, he did come back and then he hurt himself again. That injury was not related to his shoulder injury, so if his shoulder's fine and they're just waiting for that other injury to heal, you got to if he's ready to go, you got to at least test it. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's only the midpoint of the season. So, yes, the Indians are playing well. All they got to do is go 500 and they win 90 games, and that can conceivably win the division this year. But if you can get a guy like that back, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
And then see how it goes. Because you have, 2 or 3 weeks? Oh, the trade deadline is August 1st. So you have basically a month to see where your team's at, to see what kind of move you need to make. Because if he comes back, he's just adding another – if you were to make an in-season trade – he's a great bat to have. And then that will determine whether or not you need to make that next move.
If Brantley comes back within the next 2 weeks and shows the signs that he could be returned to the player that he once was and do the whole thing, at that point, do you consider moving a guy like Rajai Davis? because he's had such a great year. You could probably get a really good relief pitcher for him. I mean, those are the things that people are saying because you're going to be crowded in that outfield.
Yeah, you can never have enough. You can never have enough hitting though.
But you're putting a lot of faith in a guy that is having a great first half of the season that you could sell high on.
You don't need to sell him. You just put him on the bench.
Yeah, you just put him on the bench.
But if you could trade him to get, like you said, a left-handed relief pitcher that's solid coming back.
To me,
I don't think.
To me, I think the Indians have enough in their farm system that if they want, let's just say a left-handed pitcher from the Yankees.
No, I'm not.
I could see them, maybe dishing off a few prospects that wouldn't be obviously their top-notch prospects. Right now, I wouldn't even, if I were the Indians, obviously now they're not going to make a move. They'll probably wait till maybe after the All-Star break. But, I wouldn't mind them making a deal earlier, than the trade deadline.
I think the move you're talking about, Duff, is honestly a move just to make a move. I don't think it serves a purpose because I wouldn't want to sell. I see what you're saying with selling high with Rajai Davis, but if you're gonna do that, I'd rather use him as part of a package to get Jay Bruce. Then I wouldn't want to waste that on a left-handed pitcher that we could probably get for.
Just that. I'm saying you could get maybe 2 relief pitchers or something like that for Rajai Davis right now. Like you could get help that could shore up your bullpen.
Now, teams that are selling relief pitchers like that,
that's not going to take much to get them.
No, you don't have to give them a Rajai Davis.
How about let's trade Juan Uribe?
What's the Indians' problem, if there is one, is if you do make a trade for an outfielder, let's just say Jay Bruce, for example.
Which I don't think you're going to get, just because I think Cincinnati's going to try and fleece anybody that tries to go after Jay Bruce.
Agreed.
Right now.
I mean, you're not wrong.
He's the biggest star, and they're going to take.
We'll see.
They're going to want every big prospect.
But when it comes to making a move like that,
they don't want to lose it for nothing, though.
That means they're going to take a spot. Lonnie Chisenhall's playing really well, batting well in right field. Rajai Davis is playing well in left field. Tyler Nyquin is playing really good in center.
Right.
And, once Brantley comes back, if he does, there's a spot. Is he going to go back to left field? Davis goes to the bench. If you do make a trade for another outfielder, you're going to have another guy go to the bench. How's that going to go with chemistry?
Right.
That this team is having good chemistry right now. So that's the gamble that the Indians have to make. But if you can make a move without giving up your top prospects, I think you have to do it. And it just adds more cushion just in case.
But you see what I'm saying is you just laid it out. You got Chisenhall, you got Davis, you got Brantley coming back, you got Taylor Naquin, who's a solid young guy that you're not going to want to trade. So,
yeah, but you can send him to the minors.
You can send it back.
But if he's that productive, then why send him to the minors? You know what I mean? Like I look at what you have. You got Rajai Davis mainly because you honestly were worried that you.
Do you want Rajai Davis back, Duff?
I don't. I want to.
Sure.
It's basically
he is leading the AL in stolen bases. Why would we want to get rid of that?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, but I'm saying it. Okay, let's flip it over. Lonnie Chisenhall.
We're not taking Mike Aviles for Rajai Davis.
You're gonna have a logjam in the outfield. You're gonna sit like your outfield is producing right now, one way or the other, whether you want to say it or not. So
correct.
When Michael Brantley comes back, and if he shows signs of being the player that he was before he got injured, you have to make the same decision because you're giving up something. You're giving up Michael Brantley for Lonnie Chisenhall's production, Rajai Davis's production, or Taylor Naquin's production because they can't all play the same position.
No, but they could go according to pitcher matchups too. There might be a right-handed pitcher that Chisenhall has had success with, or you want a left-handed bat in there.
You could. You're right.
I think the intent of Rajai Davis really to begin with was for him to platoon anyways. He was forced into an everyday starting lineup because of Almonte and because of the
you have an opportunity to sell high right now on a guy like Rajai Davis, who no one expected to have a big season, having a good season, and you gotta wonder what other teams are saying. Hey, what do you want for Rajai Davis? Because they see the same thing I do. If Brantley comes back, you're gonna have a logjam in the outfield. Those parts may be expendable. What can we get for Rajai Davis?
All right, who would be willing to make that trade? Are we trading to another possible contender?
No. I'm saying you're like a
Minnesota
or a Padres or a team like.
What benefit would they have by wanting to trade for Rajai Davis if they suck? What is the benefit of that? What is the benefit to them?
Why did the Yankees pay all that money to Alex Rodriguez?
Because they
Because they're the
can.
Yankees.
Because sometimes you make bad deals and you sell. I mean, that's the nature of this game, is that you want to maybe they look at a guy who's coming, maybe a team that's on the come, maybe a team that needs outfield help, that needs an outfielder. I don't know who that would be because I haven't really followed it too much, but I'm saying like his production level. You got to listen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I got to believe that Antonetti is getting calls because they see the same thing. Like if Brantley's coming back, they can count how many guys can play the outfield, and only 3 of them can. And you have potentially 5 guys with Almonte coming back after suspension. That's a logjam, and there's production there. So you're right. The Indians may say, "Hey, we'll send him back to the minors," but you're not saying there could be a phone call from a GM in Milwaukee or a GM in Seattle saying, "Hey, we need an outfielder. What can we get for Rajai Davis? What do you want for Rajai Davis?"
You're obviously going to listen to that, but I think it would be absolutely asinine to make a move on it, though.
But if it's a good enough, like let's say you can get 2 solid relief pitchers and maybe a top prospect in the outfield back
For Rajai Davis?
Man.
But again, this is the trade deadline.
I'll tell you
is
right
silly
now,
season.
the
Like, you see
Indians
it all
are
the time.
trying to win right now. They probably won't take prospects. They'll want players that can play right now.
No, what I'm saying
and push
is that
towards the playoffs.
if it's a sweet enough deal, would you just hold on to Rajai Davis because you those stolen bases, or do you? I mean, look, we all see it. There's all these talks about these wild trade offers that come in at the deadline. Some of them make no sense for the team that's trading to get what they're getting. I mean, we know what Rajai Davis is. I've seen it. He's a great player, but he's maybe not. He's not a trying to think of a good one. He's not a Mike Trout. He's not, you know what I mean?
Maybe he's an older Mike Trout.
Well, but I'm saying is that, like, there's always these trades that come through, and I think Rajai Davis has had a good enough first half of the season to warrant a lot of interest from other teams.
And he could be.
I think it makes more. That would make more sense if we weren't division leading, and
Yeah.
I think if we were,
Because it's like David Murphy. It's like that situation, except we weren't in it then, where we traded Murphy to the Angels, who were contending at that point in time. Where, if we were losing right now, I think Rajai Davis, might warrant a lot more interest from teams that are trying to make the postseason.
I'm just using Rajai Davis as an example.
Yeah, because you have a man crush.
But the Indians
I
won't
do.
trade.
I liked Rajai Davis. I can't believe we got rid of him, but he was a pretty good player. I liked Austin
Because
Jackson.
you
I
wanted
liked all
Mike
of our
Aviles.
I didn't even know Mike Aviles
He's a
was in play.
utility guy.
Listen, you know what? You guys are in first place. Enjoy it.
Wait,
We
say
are.
that again.
Yeah.
The Indians are in first place in the AL Central.
Yeah, all right.
Tigers fans.
On that note, thanks for joining Sports Tonight.
Gross. I had to take a shower after that.
The Indians in first place.
Tigers in
By
second.
6.5
and in
games.
the wild card position as of July 1st.
Yeah, a lot of baseball
that's
to
fine.
be played.
Take your chances of that one game playoff. We will gladly wait for the winner.
That's right. We'll take it. A lot of baseball still left to be played. I want to thank everyone for listening. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean in Hinckley, Ohio. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. For Josh, Jeff Troutman, Sean Duffy, Ed Dick, I'm Rob Troutman saying see ya. Have a great weekend, everyone. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.
Sean with the hot mic.
I can't.
Hot, hot, hot.